There's a quote describing music from 1742. Music is several noises thrown together that sounds bad, because everyone has worse music taste than me. Philip von Kilian. In this video, I will cover the entire history of music, from its birth 200,000 years ago until its death in 2008. Yes, music died in 2008. It was so quick you probably didn't even notice. I will also officially rank the 5 best musical pieces in human history. I've been a doctor in music history for 5, almost 6 weeks now. I bought the degree from a Laotian online college, and as a doctorate, I never used Wikipedia. If I didn't know something, I made an educated guess. Here is the entire history of music. We need to start with prehistory. Probably want me to start talking about singing animals or even the Neanderthals who had instruments very early on. Nope, this is a video about human music. The music of winners. The first musician was born 200,000 years ago. His name was Ugg. Also the most famous musician of all time, as all of humanity knew him. He invented music by finding out slapping your hands together made noise. His first song appealed to teenagers at the time. It was called Only 2 Jobs and I Don't Know What to Do With My Life. After the first song became a hit, his ego exploded, and he released his second song, My Girl Got That Mammoth Booty. The flexing got him in trouble with authority. So ever the rebel, he released his final song, The Chief Owns 99% of Furs. Later that day, the chief beat him in the head with a club. He died at the age of 27, which at the time was ancient, which meant music was a viable career, and an industry was born. But all instruments were garbage until the first civilizations. We begin in ancient Mesopotamia, where they invented the first instrument that required skill, the harp. The only ancient instrument people learn today without some dumb role-playing aspect. How could it have survived so long? Because it sounds so beautiful? Gozer no! It's so heavy, people who played it looked like this. As opposed to other instruments, you couldn't stop someone from playing it. Lifting heavy things was also the favorite pastime in ancient Egypt, where music was often religious. Do you wanna know who the Egyptian god of music was? So do I! Got enough different answers to make a poke rap. What is important is that while their buildings were epic, their music was pretty generic, and as far as I can tell, invented by a cow. Yet, it inspired the world leading into ancient times. On the other side of the pond, the Greeks would bet everything on one instrument. The Zeus damned lyre. On every pot, someone pottery bombs with a lyre. It would be present in every aspect of life. Work, funerals, sending children to be killed by a minotaur. But obviously there's this one aspect. Ancient Greece has a very specific stereotype about it, which might explain why they invented the musical. But they didn't have dance music. You can't dance to the lyre. So the most famous gay guy of all time traveled east to find it. And so shall we. I bet you thought this video was gonna be West-centric. Showed you! In ancient India, they had music. Ancient China had an imperial music bureau. Imagine that, the government deciding which culture is okay and which isn't. Man, ancient China was crazy! But what did the wisest philosophers say about music? Confucius said, I like music, it's neat. Mencius said, I also like music, it's neat. Motsu said, music is a dumb indulgence that serves no useful purpose and is probably harmful. This opinion is what the young people on the internet call based out of space. Out of respect for this handsome philosopher, this video will from now on be West-centric. And where else but to Rome? They also played the Jupiter damned lyre. Stole everything from Greece. You can just reverse the video. Then the Roman Empire was declared and Augustus was like, from now on all music will be made by Germanian film composer Hans Zimmer. Then an event happened that would be the main inspiration for all music for about 1700 years. In the year... it's hard to say with the beard. Maybe 34 AD? Maybe it's 32 AD? There was a dinner. The description of this dinner has omitted the musicians. Hi, just wanna say, Slightly pissed off, one of you will betray me and one of you will deny me. Should we stop playing? It just got very tense. Shut up, Simri! If they wanted us to stop playing, they would ask. I'm not gonna deny you, Jesus, unless it's a crowd I have social anxiety. And I'm not gonna betray you like some sort of Judas. Really making it awkward for the musicians. We should tip them extra. Simri, you're gonna get us a bad review. We won't survive the Judean gig economy. Then Attila showed up and set Europe on fire. The only thing he listened to were the beautiful screams of his enemies. Man, everything was awful. The Middle Ages. And all Europeans had were Gregorian chants, today referred to as Halo music. Sir YouTuber, do you seriously consider one 2001 video game on the same level as music that dominated European culture for hundreds of years? Yes. Let's go to the desert. In 610, Archangel Gabriel visited a man in a cave and told him the word of God. He did not inform him what to think of music. This has caused a discussion among Muslim scholars. Most say, we like music, it's not haram. But many say, it's the noise of drunkards, ban it. Agreed. Fact. One Muslim scholar traveled to Scandinavia, met the Vikings and wrote, I have never heard such awful singing, similar to the noise of dogs or wild animals. Piss off, you xenophobe! But music in Europe was pretty bad. So what about the rest of the world? The Aztecs had whistles that sounded like a man dying in agony. That's nice. Genghis Khan probably listened to throat singing. Makes you want a war. Okay, music wasn't only bad in Europe, it was bad on the planet. No, I know this. I've played D&D. Bards traveled to taverns and they sang for tavern wenches and made love to them. No! Premarital sex gives you leprosy unless you wash your penis with vinegar. Fix your game! It got so bad they named their main instrument after internal body parts. And then rats showed up and killed everybody. It was time for change. The Renaissance. It means renewal. So what got renewed? Remember Gregorian chants? What if we sang faster and it didn't echo? Thus the a cappella group was born. It wasn't just 300 years of a cappella. There were court musicians and dancing. You know, small bands, easy to assemble, a good idea and great fun. It only takes one dude to ruin this. And it happened in Tuscany. Tu Kilian, Claudio Monteverdi. You got old. I may be old, but this dog has a new trick. I knew it wasn't too early for wine. I am going to put 30 instrumentalists on one stage at the same time. You're out of your goddamn mind. Maybe. You in? You know it, but you're gonna need a crew. Way ahead of you. Alessandro, how's my favorite librettist? Get out for Claudio Monteverdi. I'll never work with you after that merda you pulled in Firenze. Ah, come on, you write the best lyrics in Italia. Damn it all, Giovanni, Vincenzo. I deserve that. You wanna make some money? Francesco, you're a plague doctor. You used to be the greatest tenor in Milan. I think my singing days are over. You're gonna spend the rest of your life hearing screams instead of hearing cheers? Oh no, when he had gathered everyone, they needed a name. He wanted to call it Claudio's 30 or Chestra, because music comes from the chest. But they liked the sound of that. Or Chestra, and that name has stuck ever since. And then began the Baroque era. First of all, let's all agree that the orchestra is a tremendously stupid idea. We need 90 people, and they all need to have dedicated their life to a specific instrument. Secondly, from now on, famous musicians will start raining in, and I will skip 99% of them. You know what? I'll even skip most of this current era to talk about the earliest composer the average person has heard about. This is Vivaldi. Born in a floating city and in love with an instrument that sounds like a dying cat, he would compose the Four Seasons, a series of violin pieces where every song is famous, making it Baroque thriller. And while his winter pieces do not sound at all like winter, there's no denying Vivaldi is extremely talented. So he died in poverty. Bart invented the piano, Gottfried patched it, then showed it to another huge composer, Johann Sebastian Bach. who commented,
"Bruh, your piano ain't scheiße. You ain't got no Klatzchen. Get out of my face, echt."
because Bach was using the organ to get that bread. Literal bread with Germans. Bach's most famous hit, Oxygen, relaxes you. His second most famous hit, Hypes You Up. These were obvious replacements for drugs. He had one more hit, was made by someone else. A lot of people owed this guy 300 years worth of royalties. I don't have a transition. Händel! Born in Prussia, he quickly realized his name was George, so he was forced to move to England. And you know the English. They knew one day there might be an international football competition and it's gonna need a theme song, so they asked him to compose one. And he was like, "Do you also want it to be like a coronation anthem in case that specific thing doesn't happen?" Cora what? Listen, Durandal. Fine, whatever, don't care. Still remains as both. Music was looking bright, but it was missing a capital city. Classical era! Yes, they called it the classical era at the time. They just knew. This was the 1700s. The age of ships, cannons and pirates, rum for everyone. But what if you find the sea spooky like all Austrians? You have to find a new hobby. One alleged Aussie invented the symphony, Philip von Kilian. What is a symphony? Well, imagine if you had a lot of instruments. Now imagine if you had more. That is a symphony. Kilian helped educate this one guy who was very good at creating them. And we're finally here. If music had a main character, it would be this guy. Probably the most famous musician in history, Salieri. What a saint. He taught children music for free, always gave back. And he had a rival, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, I've already covered his life in my Pokemon video. Might sound weird if you're new to the channel. Because people didn't carry paintings of their kids in their wallets, Leopold Mozart carried his son around. Might have had effects on his mental health. His operas are... what's that? Oh! Oh no! Oh! I've gone throughout the entire video without mentioning women. Okay, so... well, reverse, take it back. Throughout history, women have also made, sang and paid for music. There we go. Sexism destroyed. Mozart was extremely talented, so he died poor at the age of 35. We'll never again get a musician like Amadeus, because of child labor abuse laws. But remember those other two? Both of them tutored the other famous composer. Beethoven. Kilian called him up. Come to Vienna, we'll visit Haydn, the famous penis vinegar washer. And when he got there, everyone called him Mozart Episode 2. Okay, I just wanna make like easy music for piano students or whatever. Then, through a series of equally incompetent events, Europe caught fire. Again. Okay, I guess my music will be epic now. He also started going deaf. And said, okay, I am going deaf now I will create my best piece. Maybe he intentionally went deaf so he could show off. Ode to Joy is considered by many to be the greatest musical piece of all time. I'm putting it at number 5. As a 40-year-old, he proposed to a 19-year-old. She said no because he made this mediocre song for her. Because he was a hopeless romantic, a lot of people want to put him in the Romantic era. Comprises art and literature too. Though music is the only one that's actually romantic, so piss off! Weird thing is, composers sat indoors looking at papers all day like a bunch of nerds, but they didn't look like it. That changed with Schubert. He made music probably. Is he the first famous historical person painted with glasses? Like earlier paintings with glasses, it's like, hey, look at this early painting with glasses. Do you understand what I'm saying? He only became 31 after they pumped him full of mercury to cure his syphilis. In Poland, a dude couldn't pronounce his name. Chopin, or Chopin, played the piano with 3 hands. He was quite famous while he was alive. and was always like, I don't care about this, I just wanna create music that kills future piano students. But listen to this, what incredible talent. He was severely depressed. The first real modern celebrity showed up in 1840, a Hungarian named Franz. Today, being swarmed by fans and screaming girls is pretty standard, but it started with this guy. And I bet not a single one of you is surprised. These two only played the piano, you can't use that in commercials or film, making it bad music. Good thing in 1813 two dudes were born. And then they became college roommates. Verdi, what are you working on? Well, Wagner, you know that the food are from Naples. Yeah, the flatbread with the tomato, the cheese and the pineapple. I was thinking, what if someone froze it and sold it? Then they invented moving pictures and they wanted to show ads for it. They're gonna need a song that goes dum 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 da dum 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 da dum. True, yeah, true. What are you working on? Well, I was thinking, what if someone invented giant metallic military bumblebees? Of course, they are gonna need a song that goes dum da da dum 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 da da dum 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 da. True. Bertie, do you want to hear my opinion on something? No. And Wagner never shared his opinion on anything ever. And that was the start of the epic race. All music had to be epic. Russia were going full alien mode on culture for 2 decades, but one composer couldn't keep up with the new epicness. Nothing works! My idea, to make my bassist play the bass hard, did not make my music more exciting. Suka Biet, Plan B! I am introducing cannons to the song. 4th best song in history, cannon noises. And then things escalated. For this piece, I'm putting dynamite under every seat. For my composition, I'm blowing up Essex. Okay, the continent is guaranteed to catch fire again, so we're leaving the old world. 1900s. This is USA, locally America. Dude named Edison asked people to play music in front of Vax. Then the music was still on, the Vax. Now we could sell Vax, and it still had better sound quality than gaming headset. To the south. I'm sure there's a proper way to say this, but I'm just gonna be blunt. In southern USA lives a lot of black people and they weren't having a good time. Side note, great timing, Kilian. But they made music more exciting by inventing jazz. In Europe though, the escalation of music had reached its natural conclusion. Jazz musicians lived in Nouvelle-Orléans and then spread fun from there. And the government was like, why are people having fun? We're banning fun. So they banned fun. 20s. Putting 15 people in charge of tracking down all alcohol went great. Unfortunately, rebel scum started jazz clubs in their basements, spreading the genre. Now some of you are saying, I only like music if there is a dance gimmick. James P. Johnson got you with the song Charleston, and thus non-stiff dancing was born. Wasn't all jazz though. Musicals regained popularity in the last century and exploded now. In fact, the first talking film was a musical. It was called The Jazz Singer. It's about a Jewish man who wants to be a black jazz singer. A timeless story. You know Hollywood, with all these remakes. The point is, the 20s, pretty fun. And the 30s was gonna be even better. Fun fact, did you know that the wah-wah sound effect was created in the 20s? Here's its common usage. This is so sad. Harry Joy, play My Girl's Pussy. Before you ask, yes, he knew. 30s. The new style was electro swing without electricity. Did you know that the difference between jazz and swing depends on how smug the person is? This decade introduced the music video. For example, Cab Calloway performing his biggest hit as a ghost walrus. Music videos never made sense. Back in the USSR, Prokofiev invented villain music. Then the Soviets were like, okay, we're gonna start a manly choir and that's gonna be our thing until the Union falls. Which it won't, obviously. Musicals just kept rolling and just kept coming. But only one would become a global sensation. The SFX engineer of Oz. Spoiler alert. With the hit song, We Represent the Lollipop Guild. You should know, in the 30s this was considered absolute fire. And meanwhile, backstage, a man was making a call. Yo, Bali! It's your cousin! Jyotiraditya! Jyotiraditya Wood! You know that new sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this! Bollyhinder Wood founded Bollywood and only allowed musicals because it's the only film he liked. A tradition kept up until this day. All in all, 30s, pretty horrible, but it couldn't get any worse. It's worth pointing out, a musician didn't do this, a painter did. There is a reason why music is a beloved multi-billion-dollar industry, while painting is mostly for furry commissions. 50s. Kilian, did you skip an entire decade? Yes. Some dudes invented a genre called rock and roll. A general audience didn't like it. When they listened to them live, like there was this ringing noise in their eyes. Bill Haley released Rock Around the Clock without the ringing noise, which opened the gate for the very first megastar. Ladies and gentlemen, Lil Richard, rest in peace. Tutti Frutti passed away while I was making this. That sucks. There was also this Parsley dude. He made a song about a hotel that destroys your most vital organ and broke every record set before. Women loved him. Authority figures feared him because his sensual dancing might make women pregnant or something. I don't know, I'm not a doctor in medicine. Army stole him and he started eating a lot of mayo. Other 50s stars: Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, but there's a rumor going around he stole his most famous song from a high school student named Calvin Klein. In Monaco, someone suggested they should bring Europe together with a music competition. This brought Europe together, agreeing it was a terrible idea. Who cares, because these days the USOA was king. Though this would change. 60s. The Yanks were releasing banger after banger, yet at times they were a-changing. A secret White House recording tell us the government thought music was in danger.
Have you heard music these days? There is a house in New Orleans. I've been there. There are several houses in New Orleans. Freedom, the Constitution. I don't know how to fix this. I have an idea. We should send all potential musicians to the jungle. Deep fried bacon cheeseburger. Yes, but this war will need a theme song. I'm sorry, what war?
Then the world's largest culture producer disappeared from global music for 14 years. Is anyone gonna take their place? The heated iced tea people. In Hamburg, 3 dudes did nothing of significance. Until one day, when they got a real drummer and became the biggest band in history. I'm sure they have an official name, but I don't remember it now. It was the first band to have a performance broadcasted via satellite to 24 countries. This video is broadcasted to over 100, which makes me more talented, but obviously they are still a great band. Then someone invented color, and they started singing about walruses. And then this happened. What a series of tragic events. But Brits weren't done. The 70s. They started strong with Reginald Dwight, 4th best-selling artist of all time. Oh yeah, you know those sauerkraut balloons? What would they sound like if they were made from easily meltable metal? Very good. One band made an entire album around the Lollipop Guild musical. Meanwhile, in furniture country, bands to deduct clothing. The clothing had to be ridiculous to prove to the tax agency that they couldn't be used in like normal life. Just wanted to share because it's the most Swedish fact I know. Let's go back to Scotland's neighbour, where the music industry was pretty tight. It's the law for Morse, it's the law for Morse. Oh, don't think so, it's the law for Morse. Oi, Bowman. Bloody Mercury. What you doing here? Bowie just killed a man. Making a song about it. Slovak rap. Name pending. Yeah. What you need me for? Didn't you hear me? I just killed a man. I need your help hiding the body before it rots. Speaking of rot, on the other side of London. Good evening, we are the Sexual Pistols. I am Jonathan Rothenstone, and this is my friend Sidious Vishenshire. Good evening to you all. Would anyone like to delight in some illegal narcotics? Punk died 5 minutes later. But that left room for the Yanks to come back. 80s. Because of television, the music video is valuable for about 2 decades. And there was this one person who really used this. Another global superstar, Madonna, like a virgin. No idea what she's creating now, but it's fine. And also she knew a guy named Michael Jackson, the second musical prodigy on this list who was forced into child labor. The king of pop would create the best-selling album ever. And actually forever, since people aren't buying albums. The 4 Seasons of the 80s. Then Bad, featuring his best song Smooth Criminal. That's the only fact in this entire video I will defend. But his reign ended suddenly, when one song, possibly made by the devil himself, swept up all the sales, and almost killed music this early. The industry entered DEFCON worse DEFCON. Out of desperation, African-American musical scientist Ronald DMCson, under the artist name Run DMC, invented the genre hip-hop with his song It Is Tricky. The problem was, unlike jazz that got progressively better, hip-hop peaked with the first song, It Is Tricky, and never got anywhere. It looks like music was gonna die. But the Norwegians have a saying, even a baby seal is a threat, so beat that thing until way after it's dead. It means greatness can come from unexpected places. And so, the third best musical piece in history came from Norway and single-handedly saved music. For now. The 90s. At the start of the 90s, the Staties were like, none of this. Music is actually serious business. Get out of here, Yanks. Time for the return of the king. David Hasselhoff single-handedly defeated communism, then tore down the wall so that Europe could unleash their full potential. And it was glorious. Denmark stepped up and created utter nonsense. Not to be outdone, the bike Germans created their nonsense. How to create a European 90s song. Beat, fun. Lyrics, kinda. Music video, hard to explain. You know, some girls controlled the spice, thus controlled the galaxy. Then the Yanks came back, crying, apologized, and created some good music. Backstreet Boys and Shaggy. Everything was going great. The entire decade was going great. It collapsed in seconds. It started in 2 AM is Dinnerland. They were like, not a single mention in this entire video. We'll throw you. We'll throw all of you. And released a thermonuclear song on the planet, leaving the music industry bathing in fallout. They needed money quick or the entire industry would die. Level heads did not prevail. American scientists tried to clone the Backstreet Boys. NSYNC. The creature, Justin Timberlake, got angry at his creators, the music industry, and wanted to destroy them, creating Napster and piracy. 2000. People often say, music used to be better. But let's be honest, this was the age of the Black Eyed Peas. Piracy made music unprofitable. When you downloaded a CD, Sony lost $20. The only way to make money was to sell ringtones. But why would anyone want quality when you could get Crazy Frog? Of course, there was still room for music with a purpose. People were making RuneScape videos, so a band named Linkin Park made music for that. And also educational music, like current Vice President Kanye West releasing a song that tells young men to stay away from women in the gold mining industry. Always there was this dread in the air that music wasn't going to make it. Random glimpses of hope would show up, of course. Like a girl from Barbados, you're like, oh, she's probably gonna be the most successful artist of the new millennium because she will sing sea shanties. No, songs about umbrellas disappeared immediately. Then the tower finally collapsed. Video game console engineer Soulja Boy released Crank That. That was it. Music was dead. It didn't go out with a bang, but with a yoo! Musicians buried their instruments, tears were shed. Could it be resurrected? No, impossible. I have covered 200 years of music history, and for it to come back from this point, a musician better than all other previous musicians combined would have to come forth. The odds of that are not astronomical. They are proof of divine intervention. Yet, it happened. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Out of the ashes rises the Pitbull and single-handedly saves music with the second greatest song of all time, Caiocho. Thus began the golden age of music. And Pitbull wasn't done, because he released the greatest musical piece in history, Hotel Room Service. Then came LMFAO. They are in a city which is not the capital of Florida, but it's the largest city, you female dog. And then, serial entrepreneur Alino Motemporunakalullubei Dreikonsham sees a woman. He wants to describe her without being disrespectful, but he can't do it! He can't do it! He completely lacks the ability to describe her in a respectful manner! Look, I haven't been able to check out newer music because I keep finding hits from the golden age, and I think it will provide me with music for the next century. I've heard good stuff about Minecraft song parodies. Finally, let me share Philip von Kilian's advice for future musicians. Don't do it! Get out! Only 2 legends had a long happy life. Shite's cursed! Thank you for watching my longest video ever. I am going to sleep now. If your favorite artist didn't make it, that's because I cut them out to provoke you. I removed like 10 minutes from the Word document, and by mistake I cut France out of the video. All of them. Think I might have to make it up to them if I ever make like a history of film. You're probably still only hanging around because you expect me to hit the high notes in Take On Me, which I could totally do, but I'm tired, so good night.